All right. Welcome to part 2 of May 19th, chapter 5. We were talking about economic policies, laws, and categories, all that stuff. Sorry, kind of lost my brain there for a sec. We're going to continue talking about that stuff. This one's going to be much shorter than the last one. If you didn't understand anything from part 1, please make sure you go back and watch that, because otherwise this ain't going to mean nothing to you. So here we go. So I know we finished here last time. We talked about, in 2007, why we got so many immigrants, and we talked about that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the video. And this is kind of where we finished. So if you want to immigrate to Canada, there's an application process that you have to go through, no matter what category. So in order to become a Canadian citizen, though, you have to meet all the requirements in the following areas. Okay? So if you've immigrated to Canada and you're applying and you want to become a Canadian citizen, you've got to apply for it, right? So you got to be over the age of 18 to file for citizenship. Under 18, people will apply, your parents or whoever it is will apply on your behalf. You have to be a permanent resident. You can't just be going back and forth all the time. You have to be a permanent resident in Canada. Doesn't mean you have to, stay here for the rest of your life and can never leave, but this is your permanent home. You've got to have been here in Canada for a minimum of 3 years. You must know English or French. You have to, right? You have to be able to at least to be able to function in society wherever you are, Quebec, Nova Scotia, Alberta. You have to be able to at least function in society with whatever the primary language is there. We got to know your criminal history, and you got to have a knowledge count. You must pass that citizenship test, which we talked about a little while ago. And I'm betting. Sorry, I can't talk today. I'm betting that most of you did not pass that citizenship test. So, you decide for yourself whether you think that's mandatory or not. Now, if you fit into the category of an economic immigrant, remember 55% of the immigrants that we bring in are what we call economic immigrants. There's a point system that we have, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to open up your books to page 169 and just give that a quick read there. It's a little comic book of essentially an example of someone who is applying to Canada under the point system, right? So this is someone who is applying to become an economic immigrant, not a refugee, not family, anything like that, an economic immigrant. So if you want to apply for that, we have something called a point system. So basically you log onto this website, click all things that apply to you. If you have enough points, then you're eligible to apply to come. If you don't have enough points, you don't fit in that category. Okay, so give that a read. This is just an example of someone who is trying to come to Canada. So give that a quick read and then come back, okay? So hopefully you read that and you kind of get an idea as to what people need to do if they want to, under the point system, if they want to immigrate to Canada under an economic immigrant, okay? Now the point system was established in 1967. As you know from the comic, you got to have 67 points to immigrate. They are evaluated under certain categories, right? So for example, you have to have an education. If you got PhD, you get 25 points. If you have a high school diploma or equivalent, you'll get some points. Always kind of a fun story to tell. I remember when I was in university, I played pickup basketball with an older gentleman, and he was a doctor. So he had just immigrated to Canada. He was a medical doctor, but he was at university. And the reason he was in university is because even though he was a doctor and even though he spoke English, he had to take English classes in order to be able to get his medical license to practice medicine here in Canada, right? So he obviously would fit in that because he had a PhD in medicine. So he got a lot of points off that. You have to be French or English. If you're completely bilingual, you're going to get even more points. But if you speak one or the other, you're going to get more points. Have some work experience. If you've got 4 years, you get 21. If you've got 1 year, you get some points, whatever it is, right? And then depending on your age, we'll give you more or less points. If you have arranged employment, so for example, someone offered you a job already, you'll get more points. If you're adaptable, which that means you've got a support network. So you've got some family, you've got friends, you've got somebody here that can help you adapt to wherever it is you're going to be living, that's more points. And if you have some proof of funds, right? If you've got some money in the bank account, so you're not completely dependent on government and subsidies, you're going to get more points, right? So wherever it is, like if you get 25 points in education, but you got nothing in funds, well, that doesn't really matter, right? You don't have to have points in everything. You just have to have 67 points. I remember when I was a kid, I'm from Devon, as many of you may or may not know. I worked at the local Devon IGA for a number of years, and after I had stopped working there in 2005 or 2004, whatever it was, they brought in a bunch of workers for 2007, right? Because there was not enough workers in Devon to be able to fill the shelves. So that would fit under that arranged employment. They went over and they brought over people. I wasn't there, so I couldn't remember where they were from. But they brought workers over from another country. They arranged for that. So that was arranged employment. They would get those points, right? So something to think about. Now, it's always kind of fun to check this. So let's see, if I was immigrating to Canada, would I qualify? Here's hoping this works. Yay, internet. Okay, so this is just, you can check this for yourself if you want. This is just your immigration points calculator. I'm not going to go through this right now because I'm trying to keep this really short. But if we were in class, obviously I would do this. But basically what this is just, this is the calculator they use in the comic, right? So all this is you just go through, you answer the questions, yes or no, language ability, have you completed work experience, do you have proof of funds, and it just keeps on going through that like we just talked about. So you can go through this yourself. There's nothing that says you can't do this. Again, I would do this if we were in class to see if I would qualify. I do qualify, FYI, in case you were curious. But something it's fun. Give that a check and see if you would qualify for immigration to Canada. So, a little something to think about here. Why do you think that immigration criteria exists? Why might Canadians have different views or perspectives on these criteria, and what issues arise from immigration based on economic factors? Right? Why don't we let anyone come into the country that wants? Why might Canadians here in Alberta versus Canadians in the West Coast, why might Canadians in Quebec or Toronto have different perspectives and views on these criteria, and what issues might arise from immigration based on economic factors, right? So, something to think about. Last thing, if we're taking economic immigrants, they have to be in good health, right? It's not part of the point system, but they do get checked. They got to prove they're in good health, so free of disease, right? They can put them at risk for other Canadians. So this is really something to think about during this COVID crisis, right? We would obviously, anybody that's coming to this country that's trying to immigrate, we would test for COVID, right? Their example there is tuberculosis. So not only something that is obviously transferable to other Canadians, but we want to make sure that they're not going to come in and just be an automatic burden on our healthcare, right? If you're in Canada, you can get healthcare. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're in Canada, you get healthcare. So if we bring in an immigrant and all of a sudden they have cancer, well, that sucks. We feel terrible for them, and obviously we would treat them, but that's not someone that we want to try and bring in all the time, because we want to bring in, especially under economic immigrants, we want to bring in people that are in good health and can contribute to our economy right away. Someone who has cancer, they would have to fit into a different category, and there's no guarantee they would get in, which sounds terrible to say, but that is just the way it is sometimes. We want to make sure they don't have any mental illness, and we make sure they have no conditions that are going to put excessive demands, so like HIV, AIDS, or like cancer, like I already talked about. Okay. So that's it for today. Hopefully you got an idea of the categories and that pie chart as to the different types of immigrants. You get an idea as to how someone can fit into that economic immigrants category, what they have to go through, the point system, all that stuff. Again, if you ever have any questions, you can always find me on the Google Classroom, or you can always email me. People have, and I always respond. I'm priding myself on it. I really want you guys to do well. I want you to succeed. Can't talk today. So drop me a line if you ever need anything, and I'm here for you. Okay, have a great long weekend, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Later.